Movement quality precedes all else, and as movement coaches, our primary goal is to restore effective and efficient motion and movement in the system to prepare our clients for the demands of training, practice, competition, and life. Now, there are so many resources and sources that influence how to establish and rebuild effective and efficient motion. But in our live 4-day version of the mentorship, we get you 3D Map certified. And that's where we really break down the 6 primary chain reactions. So we're going to give a big shout out to the Gray Institute. And these 6 chain reactions that we're going to explore in 3 planes of motion is really the brainchild of Dr. Gary Gray in 3D Maps. So this is our planes and chains. We know that we have 3 primary planes that we function in, although technically there are many, many more. But within those planes of motion, we have 2 bookends. And those 2 bookends are what create the end potentials of our chain reaction expression. So what do we have? In the sagittal plane, anterior, posterior. There are 2 ends in the sagittal plane. So we have an anterior chain reaction and a posterior chain reaction. 1 plane of motion. Then we have our frontal plane, side to side. We have our same side lateral chain reaction and our opposite side lateral chain reaction. So again, 2 chains, 1 plane. And then finally we have our transverse plane, that all-powerful, but also where unfortunately so many people get injured. That's our same side rotation and opposite side rotational chain reactions. So there we have our 3 planes and 6 chains. Now, in the movement assessment itself, we really try to show you the purest expression of those chain reactions. But what you're seeing on the screen right now is how they actually, in life and sport, show up in complex ways. Let's look at that bottom right image there. You're going to see essentially a left-handed pitcher winding up into their load phase by taking their right leg, rotating to the left. So this would be opposite side rotation. Now if we go top right, you're going to see there that we've got that same pitcher now, left-handed. He's taking that right leg and exploding out so that he can throw that pitch, load to explode. So in the first one, the right leg goes opposite side rotation, but to release that ball, that right leg then goes back to the right, same side rotational chain reaction. Look in the middle, we have someone bending down, simple everyday task of tying a shoe. It's worth noting that 1 foot is back, 1 foot is forward, 1 foot is flat, 1 foot is up. This is life. We're rarely in symmetrical positions. Very often we're in odd positions. But to get there and get back, that posterior chain reaction is definitely loading and exploding. Look below that. Yes, that's someone jumping and dunking a basketball. Even though there is rotation going on, for sure, look at that anterior chain reaction. That thing is fully lengthened, loading, so it can explode. And then our top right and bottom left, what we can see here are everyday tasks of either carrying a load, resisting a load. So in one, you've got someone holding a baby. In another one, you've got someone carrying groceries. But what you're going to find in that is different lateral chain reactions have to turn on just to be able to perform that task with a lateral load. Let's talk about vital transformational zones. Vital, necessary, extremely important for the success of something or the continued existence of something. Transformational, the process of changing completely the character or appearance of something in order to improve it. That sounds significant. And then a zone, an area that is distinctly different from other areas, primarily because of the purpose that you have to perform in it. Vital transformational zones. So how does this apply to everyday movement? Simple. Anytime I start or stop a motion, that's a transformational zone. Anytime I have to change direction, transformational zone. Anytime I load to explode, transformational zone. And in fact, those 3 are usually happening at the same time. If I said to everybody watching this, I want you to jump up and touch the sky, jump as high as you can, the first thing you're actually going to do is drop down. Our body intuitively knows that to go that way, I first have to go that way. So I start moving, I stop, I change direction, restart moving, go in the opposite direction, I load to explode. If I'm going to throw the ball and I want it to go forwards, the first thing I do is take it backwards. Again, I start, I stop, I change direction, load to explode, just like pulling that rubber band. It's fascinating to us that the body, more often than not, goes in the opposite direction first, because that's how we create effective and efficient transformational zones. The key question is, are we conditioning, preparing, and training our clients in the game of life and sport to get in and, equally important, out of vital transformational zones? For example, that soccer player. In order to kick that ball with the right foot, it's the left foot that goes forward first. And as the left foot goes forward, that left arm comes back. And it's that loading of the slings that allows that right foot to whip through and strike that ball. Again, the leg goes opposite in order to go where it's intending to go. But it's that action which is a vital transformational zone. That left foot has to hit the ground, put the brake on, be stable, load the system so the right foot can come slamming through and kick that ball. Look at this. This may seem extreme, but it's not. This is sport, from the youngest age to the oldest age. These are kids wrestling. These are 75-year-olds serving a tennis ball at our clubs. Look at this athlete here. She's running, shifting left. She's watching a ball that's coming from high to low. Pelvis and legs are going one way. Trunk is going another way. Arms are going another way. That's one heck of a transformational zone. At extreme ranges of motion, odd positions, at speed. Pretty fascinating that the body's doing so many different things subconsciously. But when we train her in the gym, do we put her in those odd positions? Both with body weight only, learn the motion, but ultimately then we have to load that motion. Different directions, different loads, and different speeds. That's a killer transformational zone. So what we're going to do now is quickly take you through the 6 chain reactions in their pure form, like we teach you and certify you in 3D Maps Live. Haley's going to join us, and we're going to take the 6 chains and look at the 4 big rocks. What kind of local and global shapes and joint motions would we want to see? Hales? Right, she's going to rock it. She's been practicing it her whole life. We're going to start with the anterior chain, which is the front of the sagittal plane. And so all Haley's going to do with her left leg is a left anterior lunge, 3 reps, stop on the last one, Hales. Lunging with the left, we're going to stick it now, boom. What we're actually looking at is the right, the leg that stays home. Left leg was the driver, but it's the right chain reaction that I'm looking at. Down at the floor, does she have good dorsiflexion? Coming up, does she have good hip extension? Does she have good thoracic extension? And finally, does she have good shoulder flexion? If you look at that like you're squinting, a silhouette, from that foot all the way up to that hand, you're going to see a nice, smooth C shape. And rest their house. Now, in the full mentorship, yes, we look at knees, we look at lumbar spine, we look at cervical, but at a quick blush, does that anterior chain look like it has a C shape? Is it smooth? Do I have dorsiflexion, hip extension, thoracic extension, and shoulder flexion? Okay, next, let's go into the posterior. Same plane, different chain. So Howes is going to step with the left, or lunge, step and return, but we're looking at the right posterior chain reaction. Okay, we'll do it quick because this is not comfortable to hold. We've got ankle plantar flexion. We've got hip flexion, thoracic flexion, that's right. I'm not looking for extension, I'm looking for flexion, and shoulder extension. Coming up, Hales. We're going to have to do it one more time, and we're going to see if we can see a similar shape. We're looking for a C, but it's a different kind of C. Plantar flexion, hip flexion, thoracic flexion, and shoulder extension. 2 more Hales and then stop. Boom. So if your eyes can go from this foot and ankle, up the chain, back down, you'll see that there's a nice C shape. And stop there. Okay, so that's the sagittal plane, 1 plane, 2 chain reactions. Same side lateral. Oh, is this a biggie, especially for a dude that I know. Yeah. So house is going to face forward. And what we want to see now is going to be same side, which means the right foot, which is the lunge, the driver, is going to go to the right. Bilateral hands overhead, and she's going to wash the window to the left. Step right, wash the window left. Do 3 and hold house. Boom. Lunge with the right, but we're looking at the left. We're always looking at that side that stays home. Do I have good eversion of that foot and ankle? Do I have good abduction of that left hip? Am I getting nice lateral flexion of the thoracic spine? And a big one, those shoulders. Are they AB and adducting? They need to be moving. So we'll come back home house. We're going to do a couple more when I say, but I want you to look for foot eversion, hip abduction, thoracic lateral flexion, and AB adduction. All right, house. Let's do a couple more and see if we can see that shape. Okay, and this foot coming up to this hip, going across the spine and back over. We've got a nice C curve shape, and done. Okay, we're going to move into opposite side lateral. House is going to take her left foot and she's going to lunge to the right. Bilateral hands, opposite side, wash the window. Let's go. Boom. One more, and we're going to hold that and hold. So what we're looking for here is actually the right leg that stayed home. Do I have good inversion at that right foot and ankle? Do I have good adduction at that right hip? Do I have nice lateral flexion, again in the thoracic spine, and also the same arm AB adduction? So we'll do 2 more howls. And we're going to look for that nice C shape. Remember the stance leg. Okay, from this foot coming up, through the thoracic spine and over, you can see it's also a nice curved C shape. Done. So frontal plane, 1 plane, 2 ends, 2 chain reactions. Finally, we go into that all-powerful transverse plane. We're going to do same side rotation. We'll go with your right. One more, and we'll hold it. Boom. We're looking at the left side. On that foot and ankle, am I getting nice abduction at the left hip? Am I getting nice external rotation? In thoracic spine, am I getting nice right rotation? And a big one, horizontal AB adduction. Again, are those arms actually swinging? Let's come home house, do 3. Pick up your speed on this. Let's really see if momentum makes a difference. Oof, yes. And hold, boom. So from this side coming up, she then spirals around herself. What we're looking for is like a double helix. Can she stay vertical and literally rotate around herself? And done. Last one, we've got to go to the opposite side of the transverse plane. Now you're going to go, your right leg is going to go rotate to the left. Opposite side rotational chain reaction. This is a biggie, and in the live course we really explain why. But needless to say, really flags out internal rotation of this hip. So again, I'm looking at the left side. Can that foot and ankle actually give me that adduction at the midfoot? Can I get some nice internal rotation of the hip? Can I now get left thoracic rotation and also left horizontal AB adduction? Let's do 2 more, pick up your speed, and let's see if we can see that helix shape. Boom. Woo! So again, starting here, we come up and she wraps around herself. Can she stay vertical? Great, thanks House. That's a very, very, very quick intro to our planes and chains. Again, we teach you how to assess them for mobility, stability, and symmetry. Where are we successful, less successful, then take our relative successful code. It leads to our GPS coordinates for the very next thing we do in the program. Over time, we take those pure planes and we start to integrate them so they start to look a little bit more like what our clients, patients, and athletes do on a regular daily basis.